share my screen, and just a reminder to please mute yourself so everyone can hear well. I am so excited about this. It's kind of weird, although we're in very weird times. It is strange to do Author Day like this, but I am very grateful for all the friends and family who are able to join me on Zoom and support me because of these strange times. But I still miss my friends and family back at Berrett-Koehler in Oakland. So this is a picture from my Author Day 5 years ago for Sisters. And I miss you guys. And Kristen, I'm sorry I cut you off there. But I'm sharing this not just because we look fabulous, which we all do, but also because the seed for Dear Black Girl, Letters from Your Sisters on Stepping Into Your Power, was actually planted back then. The more I talked to Black women on the book tour for Sisters, the more I wondered how we can nurture all rightness into Black girls so that they don't have to fight so hard for all rightness as Black women. Some of you may remember my girl, Deshong, who's standing next to me in that picture there. She honored me by serving as my publicist for Sisters. And so we were on the road from this book event in Detroit, driving back to Indianapolis. And she and I had this idea to listen to Black girls to understand how to support them better. And you don't understand how revolutionary that is, just to listen to Black girls and women. So for the past few years, we've spent time with girls on their turf to see what they do and what they say when most adults are not watching. And because we are willing to listen, Black girls tell us things. They tell us how they love their mamas, but kind of hate them too. They tell us about boys at school who text dirty messages. They tell us about beauty insecurities, 2 big noses and 5 heads. They tell us who they like, showing us pictures of boys on IG and giggling, ain't he cute? They tell us these things and I smile, because even though it's been a little while since I was a girl, I remember hating my parents' rules and being insecure about my looks. I remember the trifling boys and the superfine crushes. There are some things about Black girlhood that never change. But Black girls tell us other things too. They tell us about anxiety or depression that won't let go. They tell us about social media memes that leave them feeling demeaned and hated. They tell us about boys and men who violate them and families who can't deal with the devastation of sexual assault. They tell us about schools that suspend them for petty reasons. They tell us how people assume they are angry and unfeminine and grown and hypersexual. All of those negative stereotypes that I wrote about in The Sisters Are All Right, even before they can find out for themselves who they are. They tell me these things and I worry, because I remember that the world does not value Black girls like it should. And I realize how early in a girl's life that becomes evident. Some things that are too common in Black girlhood have to change. The world looks at Black girls with a white patriarchal gaze. So a fixed negative view that says whiteness and maleness are superior and valuable, and they are deficient. And it makes their lives harder. Black girls suffer from depression and other emotional difficulties at a higher rate than other girls. 60% of them will suffer sexual assault before they turn 18. Black girls are suspended from school at a rate 6 times higher than their white counterparts, even though they don't misbehave anymore. They are the fastest growing segment in the juvenile justice system, more likely to be detained and charged than their counterparts. And when a Black girl is violated or murdered, society will not march or say her name. And a 2017 study by the Georgetown Law Center on Poverty and Inequality found that adults view Black girls as, quote, less innocent and more adult-like than their white peers, especially in the age range of 5 to 14. Think about that, 5 years old. So it's clear that Black women and Black girls, we are part of this unique struggle. And if we want to live free and happy, Black women and Black girls must love each other well. We can't afford to look on each other with the same eyes as those who hate us. Our gaze must be one of love and empathy and acceptance for all Black girl identities and experiences. So more than a year ago, I asked some Black women on social media for 12 letters to give to a group of Black girls in a workshop I was leading along with my dear friends, the new Dr. Carolyn Strong and Dr. Tiffany Monfort-Dent. I asked them to write letters that were loving, truthful, vulnerable, feminist, anti-racist, body positive, LGBTQ positive, anti-respectability politics, and pro-Black girl. My call actually went viral. Instead of 12 letters, I got more than 50 from around the globe. And I want to read for you the very first letter, an abridged version of the very first letter that I received. It's published in Dear Black Girl, and it is amazingly powerful. I've read this letter to people so many times, and I think it'll give you an idea of why I felt like this project was so important. So here it is. Good evening, darling. I write this letter from a hotel room in Houston, Texas, a long way away from my small apartment on Halsted Street in East Orange, New Jersey. I don't think, even as a child, I imagined a world bigger than that town full of hopeful hopelessness. I couldn't see past the concrete or cracked needles that line the path to where I now find myself today. I write you without knowing your story or your path, so perhaps I should share my own. I was the young flower that bloomed from the broken glass and concrete of the hood, the daughter of the genius welder and engineer turned crack addict. He died before I could appreciate his brilliance. I am the child of two parents infected with HIV before there were medications to treat it. One died, the other is still here, although forever changed. The daughter of a valedictorian and woman in STEM who was accepted into every Ivy League she applied to. However, the isolation of being educated in a predominantly white school took its toll, and she left too soon. My mother studied biomedical engineering. I am now the vice president of strategy, leading engineers in healthcare technology, and I am owning my space to ensure your experiences won't be the same. Life is complicated and nonlinear. Learn that now. There are many paths to the same destination, so if you should find that plan A fails, remember to fall back on the rest of your alphabet. I was a high school dropout, but plan soon to begin my doctorate in learning technologies. When you are low and feeling down and your body and energy are weary, remember these words. Pull from me all the positive energy I hold for you here in my heart as I type these words. Remember that within those veins carry the legacy of a dozen generations waiting for you to arrive to your own occasion. Do not fear your own brilliance and beauty. Do not hide it or dim your light because others complain of the glare. If you feel like you are bigger than something, that's because you are. I wish I could have written you from the beaches of St. Lucia or from the waters of Loch Ness in Scotland. I wish I could have taken notes during my
Actually, I'm going to have to go. I actually have yet another Zoom call to get on. But
to work in Silicon Valley or during lunch breaks while looking out on the bay in San Francisco. But no, you were there with me. No, you are here with me. Know that you will be there for every keynote address at every given tech conference. You will be there for every new concept or application I create, for every new breakthrough, every algorithm, every data model created. Know that you are not alone. You are not invisible. I see you. You are capable. You are powerful. You are worthy. You are a part of a larger community, and with us, you are home. As Black women, we are not the exception. We are the norm, and I will wait for you. We will wait for you. I will build an infrastructure for you and keep the path lit on your journey so you'll never have to worry about finding your way again. In moments when life seems most uncertain and you are most afraid of your future, think of the caterpillar who did not know that when it saw a butterfly flying above, it too would soon become one. You are part of something bigger, so accept the uneasiness in your gut when you desire more and trust it, and then rise to your own occasion, and you will be met with equal company. Signed, Nicole Jackson. I want every Black girl to feel the love and support that is so heavy in Nicole's letter. I still get letters, in fact, from Black women and pass them to Black girls. With my friend, the award-winning writer and author Rochelle Riley, I launched the Letters to Black Girls Project. But unfortunately, I can't get letters to every Black girl who should have one. So I wrote this book where over 9 chapters, readers will find more than 30 of the best letters written by Black women to Black girls and young women. In this book, Black women set aside fears and hurt to model the way that we need to love and care for each other. Letter writers approach girls with love and honesty and vulnerability and grace. The powerful messages in Dear Black Girl are also wrapped in my analysis and an introduction where I explain where all those fixed negative ideas about Black girls and Black women come from. And then at the end of each chapter, I invite girls to write a letter to my Black girl self. And also tucked throughout the book are sections titled Know This, that share bits of information that may help girls understand the letters more clearly or introduce them to awesome Black women and girls and moments in Black history. So let me tell you a little bit about some of the chapters in the book. In the chapter Black Girl Magic, Black women share what they do to keep the magic when folks challenge their beauty or smarts or who they love or their right to just be. So in that chapter, Carolyn writes, Dear brown-skinned Black girl, as a young girl growing up with chocolate skin and 4C hair, the tightest of tight kinks and curls, I didn't see anyone on television that looked like me. And if somehow a girl like me did make it to the screen, she was usually being made fun of. That made me feel like I was not beautiful. And I've spent the last 35 years trying to turn that feeling around. I'm going to do my best right now to tell you the things I wish someone had told me back then. They hate you because they ain't you. Look around, love. People who don't have what you have and don't look like you look are paying big bucks to get what the Creator bestowed on you for free. The next time you see a girl on IG tanned to death with lip fillers, butt implants, and box braids, just remember, yours is free and organic. Tatiana writes, Dear queer and questioning Black girl, you will go through life hearing horror stories and know the pain of losing people simply for being who you are. But just know that for every one of those stories, there are hundreds more queer people in love with their life. Households filled with people not afraid to love themselves out loud. Streets where you can hold your beloved's hand and be affirmed. Cities that see you for the human you are. You can be successful and gay. You can be trans and accepted. You can be your complete, authentic self and find love. You can be gay and proud, and you can be Black or a person of color and proud. So in another chapter, It For Real Takes a Village, Black women write about the fabulous but messy reality of family. Rochelle writes, "Dear young queens raised by people who aren't your mothers and fathers, I want to tell you something that someone else might not. Until after you have experienced years of sadness, feeling different or out of step or wishing for something or someone you don't have, I want to help lift that sadness. I want to offer you a look at a family that may look more like yours. But first, I need to tell you something that is true. There is no single definition of family. There are traditional families made up of a father, mother, 2.5 children, which makes no sense because no one has half a kid. There are single parent families who are constantly branded less than other families. But to try to brand every family with a single label is wrong. Every family filled with love is right." In Tough Stuff, Black women share how they have navigated difficult things like poverty, teen pregnancy, incarceration, and assault. Girls will learn that their sisters have faced obstacles before and survived. Aisha writes, "Being assaulted is not who I am. It's part of my life experience. Because I wanted to heal, I had to lean on some things I knew and learn some things I didn't. I had to relearn that I am a human that is worth care and has value regardless of anyone else's ideas of me. I had to recognize that there is a higher power, call it whatever you want, but there is a force greater than me that wants me to be happy and healthy and whole. I had to find the tools and resources that worked for me, which included group and individual therapy, and I had to take it one day at a time." And in the final chapter of the book, Girl Listen, Black women explain what actively loving yourself as a Black girl might look like. Sarah writes, "Dearest, there is something in us Black girls. We can imagine a whole, wide, brilliant, beautiful world before we even open our eyes in the morning. And every breath we take gets us closer to it. As you dream and breathe and love and grow, you carry not only yourself, but all us Black girls with you. And you know that means as I breathe and love and grow, I carry you with me. And the Black girls from before me and after you, they carry us too. We are everlasting." I want this book to be an antidote to the world's ugly and unforgiving gaze, a balm for the wounds of anti-Black-girlness. I hope girls will share letters with their besties and read them along with moms and grandmothers and aunties to start important, honest conversation. This book is as much for Black women as it is for girls. There is wisdom, I think, here that we all can share. And so in addition to teaming with Berrett-Koehler on an aggressive media relations campaign, I will also relaunch Letters to Black Girls. I will host Dear Black Girl live events in key cities, along with write-a-thons, distribute a monthly newsletter, and post regularly on social media. I want as many Black girls as possible to receive the love and support in these letters because I love Black girls. I love Black girls in Afro puffs and Black girls in bundles of Remy. I love the daddy's girls and the fatherless ones. I love the little sisters who make straight A's and the ones who skip school.
So we picked up quite a few.
I love the hood girls and the suburban girls and the country girls too.
Hold on a minute.
I love the quiet girls and the loud girls, the lip-smacking, smart-talking ones. I love the sage girls and the even ones. I love the girls who stay in sweatshirts and J's and the ones in tight Fashion Nova fits. I love the happy girls and the anxious girls and the girls battling depression. I love the girls in the library and the ones on the basketball court. I love the virgins and the young mothers. I love the girly girls and the butch girls. I love the girls who fight. I love the girls who love boys and the girls who love girls and the girls who love both or neither. I love Black girls, full stop, unconditionally. And the greatest thing Black girls can learn is to love themselves unconditionally too. It may be the hardest thing they have to learn. I hope the letters in this book will help them. And I also hope that it will help them to love other Black women and girls the same way, to give their sisters grace and understanding, the benefit of the doubt. So few people give us that, and we owe it to each other. Because inside each of us, there are tiny pieces of our foremothers. Sarah Boone's ingenuity, Danielle Luna's unforgettable beauty, Toni Morrison's incomparable wisdom, Mamie Till's fierce love, Aretha Franklin's creativity, Marsha Pay It No Mind Johnson's fearlessness, Harriet Tubman's will to survive, Katherine Johnson's genius, Michelle Obama's grace. Black girls are made of all that magic, birthed in the African sun, baptized by the Middle Passage, and burnished by America. That is a power that no one else can claim, just us. We are sisters. Black girls are me, I am them, we are both all right, and we will get free together. Thank you.
Thank you, Tamara. Sorry for all the noise confusion right there, but thank you so much for that wonderful presentation. I want to open it up to any questions that anyone may have, perhaps things that Tammy can repeat if you want her to. But if you have any questions, definitely feel free to leave them in the chat box, or you can hop on screen if you're feeling so inclined. I guess I'll start with a question. This is my own curiosity too, and I'm not sure why I haven't asked this sooner, but how did you decide on the topics for each chapter, and like why did those feel the most important to you, and how did you kind of get your thinking around what are all the different ways that we can talk about Black girlhood and what needs to be addressed?
So I have to go back to the importance of listening to Black girls and listening to Black women, which again, far too few people do. The idea for the topics I centered on really came from listening to Black girls and hearing the challenges that they had, the insecurities that they have, and the places where they needed support. You know, and also looking at some of those statistics that I shared earlier and figuring out the places where Black girls may need guidance, specifically from Black women who have been there before.
Any other questions? I saw someone in the chat ask, when can we start sharing links about the book on social media? I believe not too long. It depends on our when we have to submit things to our fancy distributor, but I believe pretty soon, at least by the summer. You know, everybody who's here, we'll start circulating links and covers, which should be soon, which is very exciting. But yeah, within the next couple of months.
Yes. I just want to thank several of the women who contributed to this book are on this call, and I want to thank them all for being, I mean, tremendously honest and vulnerable and frank and just loving towards Black girls. I think that is so powerful.
We got some questions. Thank you for that.
You
We
know,
got some questions. Oops, sorry, someone.
I was just going to say that one of the things that Deshang and I heard from Black girls that I didn't talk about in this presentation is that, you know, sometimes they felt like they felt like Black women were reinforcing some of the negative stereotypes that they face. Because the reality is, helping someone else be all right when you're bombarded with negative images about yourself is really hard. And so, you know, we have to make a conscious effort to get rid of those ideas that are pushed into our heads every day, and to try to support each other if no one else will.
Alexandria asks, is there any group in the Black girl community that you wish was better represented in the book?
Yes, I wish that I had more letters from trans women.
Do you want to
And
say
that was,
yeah, we talked about this morning in terms of how we might do that.
and I was, you know, and I'm going to go back into my manuscript and make sure that I'm underscoring how, you know, making sure that trans girls feel accepted and welcome, and, you know, ensure that they feel like our collective sisters. I felt like this was also a failing in Sisters. You know, while I had leads with trans women, I didn't ultimately get an interview for my first book, and I didn't get any letters for this book. I think that may be a failing on my part. I need to build more authentic relationships with trans women, and I can completely understand why a trans woman would be skeptical, suspicious of a cisgendered woman saying, hey, I want to write about you. But I would say that's a gap that I have in this book. But I'm gonna make some changes in what I write in the manuscript to try to shore that up.
Awesome. You mentioned there are letters from all over the world. Are some of those letters from outside the US included in the book?
No, I'm trying to think. No, the letters from outside across the globe are not included, I'm pretty sure.
Okay, cool. Can you talk about the cover art?
Oh my gosh, it is going to be amazing. So the cover art is designed by Monica. I'm going to mess up her last name, Shabnam. Is it
Anahu?
How do you
Anahu? Ahanonu.
Ahanonu. Thank you, Ahanonu. She is an awesome artist, and you know, this idea came to me that I would really love for all of my book art. I'm already claiming that I'm going to have lots of books, and that it will always be illustrated and designed by Black women. So my first book, Sisters, was designed by, the cover was designed by a Black artist. And so this one is as well. She's got this amazing, amazing style. Please look her up on Instagram and on her website. A lot of examples of her work. She's worked for brands, she's worked for magazines. And there's a little bit in the back of the book that explains the cover.
Yeah, the cover is going to be rad. We're very close to it being done. Charisse asks, what inspired you to write this book?
So you know, it is my goal to share Black women and Black girl stories. And what made me think this letters project could be a book is honestly Nicole's letter. So thank you, Nicole. I mean, that letter that I read at the very beginning was the very first one. I called for 12 letters. That was like one of the first ones that I received, and I read it, and it just, I ugly cried. The people I read it to ugly cried. And I was like, everyone I read it to was like, I need that letter. I need that letter. And I didn't want it just to go to one person. I wanted to be able to share it with thousands and millions. I would love for every Black girl in the country to have a letter that was written directly for them.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I too cried reading that letter in the proposal. And one of the things that I really loved that you read in the proposal, I'm blanking on if it's in the book now, but like the act of writing a letter and like choosing the paper and like, do you handwrite it? Do you type it? who does it go to, how are you writing it, is all very intentional, which is, you know, part of what the promise of this book is we're thinking about you and we're being intentional about, you know, our relationship and with each other. Leslie asks, I assume you may have received more letters than you can use and will continue to get more. Will there be a website or other place that you will be sharing these?
So there is a website. If you go to letterstoblackgirls.com, or if you just go to TamaraWinfrey-Harris.com, the challenge is that I can only get the letters out as fast as I can, you know, I can read them all and disseminate them to girls, but I'm still doing that. And before the book launches, I want to relaunch the Letters to Black Girls project. And Rochelle Riley, who is listening, is my partner in doing that and coming up in a way so we can get continuous letters that go out to Black girls, and also having events where we can get letters out to Black girls.
Awesome.
I want to thank Dr. Aisha Turman, who has held several write-a-thons with groups of women who have sent letters from Brooklyn that I pass along to groups of girls.
Very cool. Johanna says, sounds like a great graduation gift. Any plans to promote to parents and educators?
Yes, most definitely.
There's also lots of nice comments about how amazing and wonderful you are. So I will definitely share this chat log with you after this too, so you can read all of the nice things. Deirdre is curious, Deidre is curious, when will a calendar of events be released for additional support for the book, live events, forums, etc.?
So today is really, you know, I am very lucky to work with Berrett-Koehler, and today, my author day, is really the kickoff where we talk about all of those things. So I was just given a wonderful schedule for things. We should have a cover by July 20th, and the ability to pre-order should come quickly after that. The book will actually be released in March of 2021, but in leading up to that point, you will hear a lot from me, perhaps more than you want to hear about the book, and have chances to pre-order and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, we'll be planning all of that out today too. Minda says, this book is revolutionary. How can we help make this book a bestseller and have the largest reach? There's tons of questions coming in, so I apologize if I don't get to yours, but I'll make sure Tammy sees all of them.
So I think, you know, as soon as the pre-orders are available, I will share that with people. But until it is, please, please, please tell people about this book. Word of mouth is important. Tell them about my website, TamaraWinfrey-Harris.com. You can follow me, as a lot of you already do, on Twitter at What Tammy Said, or as Tammy Winfrey Harris or Tamara Winfrey Harris on Facebook. So if you follow those places, I will make sure you get the latest information on the book, and we will wait for further instruction. Whoever said they want to make this a bestseller, I do too. So thank you for your support.
Thank you, Minda, who also has a wonderful book out too, actually, on the memo. Okay, I think that's mostly the questions that we have here. I guess in the last 5-ish minutes, if you want to provide like a wrap up, your hopes for the book, your wildest fantasies about what we could do with this book and what it means to people.
My greatest wish is for Black women and Black girls to always love each other. And, you know, both sisters in this book is my way of helping us to do that. And so I hope that you will support both of those efforts and help me as I work to birth this book into the world in 2021. I also hope that during this time, when we're evaluating the impact of race and gender on our lives, that you will support Black women authors. I hope you will buy my first book, The Sisters Are All Right. I hope you will buy Minda's book, who is listening here. I hope you will buy Disha Philiaw's book, The Secret Lives of Church Ladies, which is coming out in September. And I hope you will buy Rochelle Riley's book, The Burden. She is also listening. So please support Black women authors, support Black women's voices, and love each other.
I guess that's